So the real problems of misunderstandings or the narrow understandings come when relative ways of acceptations or recommendations or implementations are accepted or are like presented as absolute way of the acceptance or recommendation or applications. Just as, for example, through the Holy Scriptures, there have been various ways and varieties of injunctions, recommendations, advices of eliminations and acceptance, what is proper, what is improper, according to different levels of capacities, qualities, qualifications of the jiva souls, according to different levels of understandings, considerations, capacities, depending on time, place, situations. So, we find various recommendations, injunctions, and verdicts, guidances. They are all meant in a mostly relative ways, according to different relative time, place, situations, and capabilities, abilities of the particular individuals or collective, capabilities of individuals and collective people, but they are all correct. And sometimes even we find to that extent they become self-contradictory. They appear to be sound to be self-contradictory to each other among different recommendations and guidance, injunctions of the Holy Scriptures. They are not. They are all very correct and truth. They are all, I repeat, they are all very true and right and proper in a befitting manner, according to the different levels, according to certain particular level, dimensions, time, place, situation, each of them recommended for. Something which is very right and very proper under one time, place, situation, for one category of people of one type of qualification, abilities, capacities, that the same is not applicable. Something which is right for one particular category of the people, particular section, according to particular time, place, situations, and all these ability, same not right. Not really right or applicable under another situation, another type of time, place, situation, another category of the capabilities and capacities of understanding, qualifications of individuals or collective people. So, there have always been some instructions, injunctions, recommendations, guidance, verdicts in common for one and all, under all time, place, situations, like universal truth. Under all time, place, situation, regardless of the people, capacity, time, place, situations, regardless of any kind of categorizations. But whereas there are many such injunctions, instructions, guidance, recommendations, verdicts, which are relatively spoken, recommended, they have been relatively recommended and given to us for following, for practicing, according to, depending on different time, place, situations, individual, collective capabilities, capacities and all. Both of them cannot be put into one category and mixed together, just messing up together and misunderstanding, misconceiving, or narrowly understanding them, narrowly conceiving them, and leading to misapplications. By leading towards some misapplications, misimplementations of those things, of those guidance, injunctions, recommendations, considerations, so this is the fact. So similarly, in connection with when some of the Guru Varga in some of Gaudiya Maths have prohibited certain things which are not prohibited by other Guru Varga, or we find different process, different setup, different standards more or less in all different temples. Everyone follows their own Guru's ways and own Guru's recommendations, guidance, instructions in temple, although we are from the same family, root is the same, the society, sampradaya is the same, everything, our common interest is the same, ista-deva, or all ista-deva and principles are same by essence, but yet, while it comes to the field of applications, comes to different aspects of the applications in different Gaudiya Maths under different gurus, it varies according to the taste and characters and taste and temperament of the founder gurus of those missions, and the way they feel, each individual guru feels to guide his or her own disciples in his own temple. Not only guiding, the Gurudev is guiding, not only that guidance and recommendations, all these injunctions come depending on disciples' ability, but also it is also depending on Guru's taste. That particular acharya's taste and ability are fully dependent on how he is going to guide or recommend, because he has got the full freedom to guide his own disciples, and the way he feels, he thinks it is correct according to the best of his sincerity, own sincerity, and he guides disciples accordingly. So do's and don'ts also varying, do's and don'ts, the standards of do's and don'ts under different Gaudiya Maths, different Gaudiya Math institutions and all, are established, are introduced, established, are disciplined, not only depending on the disciples' capability of understanding, ability or capacity or nature, but also Guru's nature, the very acharya's nature and character, how he feels, how according to his own individual taste, how he feels about, how he has got the taste, how he is qualified, to be seeing the Siddhantas, understanding the applications of the Siddhantas, implementation of the Siddhantas, rules, regulations, to be disciplining his disciples' life and guiding. So it is dependent on both. sides. But when it comes to the state of a really ideal perfectionist acharya, acharyas of not relative abilities or relative qualities, but acharyas of very ideal, complete character, I mean at least relatively absolute character. When I say complete character, at least relatively complete. Okay, if not completely complete, only absolute can be completely complete. Only the absolute Supreme God, His decision, His Supreme God's decision, recommendations can be completely complete in absolute sense. But otherwise, all His representatives, pure devotees, pure representatives, presentations can only be vastly complete. Okay, not completely complete in absolute sense. Again, that right's only reserved by the supreme absolute, supreme divine truth. I repeat, the completely complete ways, absolutely absolute ways, okay, all such right reserved by only by the supreme absolute divine, absolute reality. So, back to the point. So, while don't mind if I increase the loudness of my speaking, because you are speaking at the same time. So I can do it so that sound doesn't conflict. So when it comes to the state of the dealings of the more perfectionist acharya, okay, in other words, this issue comes to be being dealt by very much qualified, highly qualified perfectionist acharya. Then what happens? The same acharya has got all the taste through all the rasa, shanta, dasya, sakha, vatsalya, madhurya rasa. He has got the vast capacity, vast ability. So he can accept all kinds of recommendations and implementations for all different types of devotees, okay, by setting different standards, variegated standards, according to different time, place, situations, different capacities, character of capacities of different types of devotees under different time, place, situations like Holy Scriptures. He can give very variegated standards, ways of instructions, recommendations, guidances. But each and every of them are recommended for only particular category, not applied to one and all. But because that acharya is ideal, perfectionist kind of acharya, so he has got the ability to accommodate all different qualities and levels and aspects of different siddhantas, and he is able, he is powerful enough, qualified enough to give all different kinds of recommendations and guidances and instructions, and all these are prohibitions, do's and don'ts, depending on different time, place, situations, also different types of disciples, different categories and qualities of the disciples. So they give variegated, not one or two, variegated, various types of instructions, injunctions, recommendations, meaning to be implemented, okay, according to some particular natures or categories, qualities of the disciples. So all of their instructions, injunctions, recommendations, guidance not applicable to one and all. And all the do's and don'ts they recommend and establish. I repeat, all the do's and don'ts, standards of do's and don'ts, they recommend, they establish, they allow, they ask the disciples follow, all varying according to individual and collective capacities under different time, place, situations. It is very clear. Okay. Now back to the point. So some of the Gaudiya Maths acharyas, in the same mission under the same guru, there are different kinds of recommendations, different kinds, different standards, qualities of recommendations, guidance, okay, implementations. All are not applicable to one and all. There have been some, Hare Krishna, there have been some very common recommendations and guidelines. I repeat, there have been some common recommendations, guidelines, standards fixed by them, meant for one and all. At the same time, besides, there have also been particular, very specific, particular guidelines, recommendations, do's and don'ts, standards of do's and don'ts, also introduced by them, established by them. So there are both categories, common categories, meant for one and all, to run a mission, and also particularized categories. More particularized, specialized categories. It varies from case to case, varying the all applications, applications of the guidelines varying according to case, individual case to case or collective cases according to particular time, place situations. So we find both trends, both ways, both streams. Okay? So only the intelligent devotees can make discriminations and can understand the right applications, wrong applications, okay, which will be proper, which will be improper, proper applications, improper applications, okay, which recommendations are proper, which are not, varying depending on different time, place, situations and individual qualities and capacities, individual, collective, both individual as well as collective qualities, capacities, reasons according to that. So now back to the point, practically speaking. Like in our in our Gurudev's mission, Sri Chaitanya Saraswati Math, even in ISKCON, or in all Gaudiya Maths, the Srila Guru Maharaj or other Guru Varga in their respective mission, they set up certain common standard or guidelines for one and all, such as Jeno teno prakareno manoh Krishna niveshayit. That recommendation is one for one. That recommendation is for one and all. Okay? Jeno teno prakareno manoh Krishna niveshayit. By any means, by any ways, it is your aims, it is your final aims and objective to be absorbed, to be engaged in Krishna consciousness, to be engaged in the life of Krishna consciousness, in the life of devotion to Krishna. Here not saying which way. By any proper means, any ways befitting to you, you should be engaged, absorbed in cultivating life of Krishna consciousness. Okay? Should be engaged in cultivating your life of devotion to Krishna. So it is meant for one and all, like universal instruction, universal recommendation and guidelines, regardless of any standards or qualifications of disciples or different situations, time, place situations. Why? Because it's not really delineating, or it's not really recommending or ascertaining particular ways or means. It says jeno teno prakareno, by any means. So full freedom is there. You know, it's not being limited. In such instruction, no limitations is there. Only this way, not that way. Only this way, not that way. Such limitations not there. When it says jeno teno prakareno, by any means, by any way, it is your final motto, should be your final motto, final aims and objective, to be absorbed in the life of Krishna consciousness, cultivating life of Krishna consciousness. So, because in specific particular ways or means not being said there, recommended there, so it is universal character. For examples, like such as, you should be absorbed, okay, you should be engaged, in chanting and singing holy names, love songs of the divine couple, and be also engaged in loving service to them. Common. It is like absolute, universal guidelines for one and all. How you should do, which way you should do, how much you should do, under which situation, how much you should do, and with what flavor, exactly which way, then coming rules, regulations, and disciplinary measures. Okay, but as long as it is said, it's your, okay, that it's your essential aim and objective in life to be absorbed in chanting and singing the holy names and love songs of the divine couple, Radha Krishna, and be engaged in their loving devotional service. So this is like absolute recommendation, absolute, the guidelines given by Guru of absolute nature, okay, meant for one and all. And you understand, in this way I'm not going to give you many more examples. In the same way you cannot be understanding. Like having cultivations of higher spiritual life, higher divine life, okay, life of pure loving devotion in relation to the Radha Krishna is common for one and all, like universal principle, common principle, absolute principle for one and all. Everyone, all disciples, regardless of this Guru, that Guru, all Gaudiya Maths. Now, how you will do, then it starts varying. How? Which way? Okay. And with what kind of temperaments and taste is you will be doing it, you will be engaged in cultivating your life of loving devotional service to the Lord, or everything, even chanting, singing, varies. Different Gurudevs gave different guidelines, different instructions, set up different standards according to the abilities, qualities, capacities of different kinds of disciples in his own mission, at the same time according to his own taste. Now it is coming to now I am touching on the not kind of perfectionist guru, but more Gurudev with certain some relatively gurus with some relative choices, okay, certain specific, special type of choices and taste. They like to guide their own disciples, okay, in a particular ways and taste, the way he also feels. So now, depending on guru's taste, and those gurus are not often highly perfectionist gurus, but more relatively nice, very, very relatively high class, nice, good standing, better standing gurus, but not of highly perfectionist, highly ideal and ideally perfectionist quality of acharyas. Okay? So we also need to be taking that aspect, guru's aspect, into the consideration. Who is the guru of which mission, of what caliber? It also depends on guidelines, recommendations, and implementations, setting the standards of do's and don'ts will also be depending on the nature, ability of a guru of a particular mission, his taste. Okay. So, now back to the point. Like for examples, how the recommendations, guidelines, instructions also vary. Like some revolutionary examples. Like one Saraswati Thakur asked one of his disciples to be even allowing to eat rice on the day of Ekadashi. Mahaprasad rice. Okay? So because he was sending that disciple for some very important service project, and he didn't want that disciple to feel weak, okay, very weak and feeble, and sending that disciples in such a situation where it might be very difficult to find out the fruits or roots or Ekadashi foodstuffs, a certain project, very difficult situations. So he instructed the attendant of that disciple whom he was sending out for doing some very important project, service project. Okay, to that in a way, if it is necessary in that way, not like you must feed, nothing to force. If it is necessary, he can take rice, he can take grains. Okay, under my special desire and special approval. And that attendant disciple became a little happily surprised, little worriedly surprised to be hearing the instruction of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur Prabhupada. Really, Prabhupada? Srila Prabhupada, you really mean that? He said, yes. I know what I am doing. I know what I am saying. I am taking, meaning, he said, I know what I am saying, so meaning that I am taking up the full responsibility for that. No sin will touch him. Because fulfilling that project of devotional service is more important. So, it was his instruction come recommendation, if it was necessary, okay, that to feed him some rice or grain, normal food, normal vegetarian food, okay, Mahaprasadam, and because since the Ekadashi, fruits, roots and fruits not available at that time, so then you can do it if it is necessary. But after all, it was not necessary. So that those disciples, the one whom he was sending, making him in charge of a service project, and his attendant, both of them managed to be following all Ekadashi ways, eating sago and fruits and roots. They could manage. So it was not really necessary for them to take rice. Not necessary for him to take rice or any grain. So, and Srila Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada was happy with that. That it was not really necessary. But he allowed it under emergency. If the situation was under emergency, no fruits, roots or Ekadashi things available, and he need to eat something. So in that case, he could follow revolutionary way under his approval. See. But in general, commonly, or in other words, normally it was his strict established standard not to break Ekadashi, not to eat 5 grains or those which are prohibited on the day of Ekadashi. So that was the righteous standard he fixed for one and all in his mission. But he also made exception without breaking spiritual principle. It is revolutionary examples. Like, for examples, it is mandatory for everybody living in a mission, in a missionary life, temple life, must be getting up for Mangala arati, must be attending Mangala arati, doing parikrama, chanting rounds, must be following strict disciplinary ways, strict disciplines to be cultivating life of Krishna consciousness. Now, according to the nature of services given, entrusted with different disciples of the same Guru, and according to the varied time, place, situations, all such instructions are relaxed. Suppose some devotee came back late at night, being exhausted physically, mentally, after taking care of some very important services under the instruction of Sri Gurudev. It was not being possible for him to get up, attend Mangala arati. It's fine. In that case, it is fine. See? So, one cannot say in absolute way, all the devotees must be attending Mangala arati or parikrama exactly. If it fails, under any situation it fails, it's a sinful activity. No, there is no such hard and fast rule of judging it. So, commonly, yes, normally Mangala arati, Mandir parikrama should be done, performed, chanting the rounds every day, all the mandatory ways of cultivations of life, spiritual life, sadhana, all the recommendations of doing sadhana, in through Vidhi Marga, especially sadhana state, all are mandatory, meant for one and all. And these have been recommended in all the temples, okay, by the same standard or similar standard by all different gurus, common. Now, how they recommended, which way they recommended, how they implemented also now varying from temple to temple. Different temples have got different standards fixed by their different acharyas, we find. I repeat, whenever we visit, we continue to be visiting different Gaudiya Maths, including ISKCON. They all have different standards and process set up by all the individual gurus and acharyas, founder acharyas. And they all follow their own gurus' instructions, gurus' ways of recommendation, guidelines in the individual, all those individual temple lives, period. So to them, to the disciples of a particular temple, of a particular guru, only their guru's ways and guidelines, instructions are accepted, followed, and not other gurus, other Guru Varga's ways and procedures or disciplinary ways as introduced by them, recommendation not to be followed by them. So, but if the same disciples go to be attending another acharya's mission, then they should be following according to their standard. They should not try to be imposing their own Gurudev standard upon another acharya's mission. It is Vaishnava etiquette. It is instructed by every guru that when you go to another guru's mission, my god brother's mission, so then you should be following their standard. You should be respecting their standard as set up, introduced by their acharya. That is Vaishnava etiquette. But when you come back to my mission, means your guru's mission, you should be following my standard as set up by me. It is understood and harmonized in that way. But again, coming back to that level of judging, again, in consideration with regards to making some absolute judgment of what is wrong, what is right, which cluster or group of standards, group of disciplinary, measures of do's and don'ts of different missions are right and wrong. We cannot. Which clusters, which group, or which which portfolio, I'm trying to look for some words, more appropriate words. Which group, which bunch of the recommendations and guidelines and are correct or right or wrong. It cannot be judged in black and white way like that. So if the disciples of one guru's mission go to judge the disciples or the practice of another guru's mission based on his guru's recommendation, only my guru's recommendation is right and other guru's recommendation, the other disciples' way of following are wrong or substandard, then it is not desirable. Okay, it's not desirable. It is not proper. Unless there is very, very special situation, questions of Siddhanta comes up, which is really wrong, which is really right, from the absolute ground, unless and until some question of the Siddhanta about which is wrong, which is right comes up. Generally, it's taken like, it's the same thing. It's taken like, okay, you are moving to the same goal, you are actually aiming to reach the same destination through different ways. from different directions. Okay? But the ways must be leading to the same central destination. It cannot mislead you to another wrong destination. That has to be ensured about. But as long as different people are walking towards the same destination by using different roads and different paths, but again, making sure must be reaching the same central destination, it's okay. All ways are ways. Some ways are very good ways, some ways can be very smooth and better, standard, some ways can be a bit ordinary type of way. Okay, so there can be some variations of good, better and best ways. Good, better and best situations while you are walking through the situation and roads, but all are ways, all are the roads, really ultimately leading to the same destinations without misleading to another wrong destinations. Has to be taken like that. So I often give examples like your eating is more important while you are hungry and eating food. Your eating is essentially important, no matter whether you are eating with spoon or hand or chopsticks. Different ways of eating, different habits. But you are eating. As long as you are tasting the food or your hunger getting satisfied, it's all okay. Whether you are eating with hands or spoons or chopsticks. How do you call chopsticks? Chinese eat? Okay. But all are serving the purpose of your eating and satisfying your hunger. So every way fine, as befitting to you. Okay. As long as you are speaking the same thing, you are translating the very same essence, okay, through your language, different language, it's okay. No matter whether you are speaking English or German or Czech language or Bengali, Sanskrit, Hindi, French, Russian, as long as you are able to be translating the essence of the mood, same mood but through different languages, they're okay. So, it doesn't matter which airlines you take to go to India or any other country. Okay, reaching the destination is important. Of course, you have to be careful, good airline, bad airlines. You can be careful about the qualities. You can be choosy about qualities, just as I've mentioned, good, better, best qualities. Which one will be more befitting, more conducive, favorable, which one not so favorable, not so conducive, like somewhat conducive but may not be so conducive or congenial. So such considerations, such factors of considerations can come. So, see, it doesn't matter which ways you are sitting comfortably, whether like Prahlad Nrsimha Prabhu sitting, or Tattvadarshi Prabhu sitting, or Malati Devi Dasi, they are all sitting. As long as you are all feeling comfortable, then it serves the purpose. There is no such hard and fast rule. Exactly which way you have to be sitting to feel comfortable. You discover according to your bodily situation, which way it will be more comfortable. So, back to the point. So this is what it is. That we can find variegated, various standards, okay, disciplinary measures, processes set up by various acharyas in their own individual missions, and accordingly they have set up the standards of do's and don'ts for their own disciples, for his individual disciples. They all can be considered as correct and right. Okay, fine. According to different time, place, situations, different levels, okay, and different categories, different levels of capacities of individual and collective disciples. Individual and collective nature of the situation and capabilities. But if one tries to start wrong argument, okay, against another standard, I repeat, if one disciple starts to judge another standard based on his or her limited view, thinking that making a relative standard fixed by his guru in their own mission, like absolute, and judging other standard right or wrong based on that, then that is undesirable. That will be undesirable and not proper. Until there's a very special universal question of Siddhanta comes up, right or wrong. That is a different case. Suppose, I tell you, it's impossible, but suppose it comes up like that. Like in any Gaudiya missions, if somebody wants to introduce Sahaja activities, Sahaja standard as right standard, because some Babajis or others followed, that will be totally dismissed. Okay. If someone says, okay, I am going to offer some nuts, I'm going to offer some nuts to the Supreme Lord, to the Shalogram Lakshmi Narayana, I don't find any things to break the nuts, so I can use that Shalogram to break the nuts. Okay, because after all, then after using it as a stone to break the nuts, then I will just clean the Shalogram and put on the throne and offer the same peanuts to Shalogram. That will be totally wrong way. So if somebody says, oh, that is the standard fixed by my guru, big offensive. So in that case, the judgment must come, right or wrong. If someone says, okay, you can put the deity on the Singhasan upside down, that will be summarily dismissed. Absolutely wrong. Okay, upside should be up, downside should be down. Deity's feet should be on the Singhasana and head should be upward. So, if someone says, oh, I am the guru of the temple, so I am absolute God now, so you should be worshipping me as God, and then next, in relation to me, you can worship Radha Krishna in my relation as my incarnation. Okay, that will be totally wrong, absolutely wrong, to be summarily dismissed. So, apart from all these absolutely wrong things, okay, offensive things introduced in the name of spirituality, spiritual practice, other than that, all the alternative, all the qualified alternative ways can be all accepted as right, of different alternative types. They're all right, they're all correct, all qualified of different alternative capacities, alternative characters. We have to be accepting all those various ways of recommendations and guidelines and, group of do's and don'ts, bunch of do's and don'ts, and all their standards they introduce, each guru introduce in each of their mission according to their own individual taste and also taste of the disciples as they feel, okay, can be accepted as all right. They're all right and they're all fine as substitutes of each other, like substitute standards for each other. We should not be engaged in judging, okay, which one right, which one is right, which one is wrong. Or even better not to get involved in judging which one is good, or which one better, which one best, which one is higher, which one best and which one not like best. Better not to be involved in judging that until and unless one achieves that highest, or the first class qualities of the wisdom and capability, like high class madhyamadhikar and uttamadhikar state, should not be, the other devotees should not be engaged in judging. All the different standards, various standards set up by different acharyas in their different temples. Okay. Now, coming back to the same point, addressing another practical issues. So, like for example, in ISKCON, Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupad ji, he introduced and he preferred that during the Mangala arati, Guruvastakam should be sung. It should be starting with Guruvastakam. Sangsara dava nalalira loka tranayo karunna ghana ghanattam. And after singing Guruvastakam, then which other songs are sung in ISKCON? After Guruvastakam? Nishinga prayer and all. See, so he felt inspired. He had a special inspiration to introduce, set up that standard. Even during the Mangala arati of Mahaprabhu and Radha Krishna, sing Guruvastakam. And then Panchatattva, Nishinga prayer, period. Now, according to the Chaitanya Math standard, according to the standards of Srila Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, okay, and according to normal Gaudiya Maths standards, it's not like that. Again, it's not that he did not know that. Srila Swami Prabhupada ji he was fully aware of that fact. He was fully aware of the standard, genuine standard, normal standard, as set up, established by his Gurudev, Srila Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, in his mission, also in other Gaudiya Maths. But yet, he specifically felt inspired to be introducing that song even for Mangala arati, sung Guruvastakam. Now, sometimes it's misunderstood and it gets criticized by some in our society. But they are judging such way of his introduction from their standard, from their normal standard, forgetting the then time, place, situation where he started ISKCON and just began to be cultivating these new, very, very newcomer devotees. Okay, and so it was very initial stage of their education, very, very initial beginning stage of their education. So he just first wanted them to be educated, first be trained up, having full faith in Guru. Okay, having full faith in Guru. And first learn to be educated. Oh, Hare Krishna Prabhu. Dharma Sutta Prabhuji?
Yes.
Oh, most welcome. Pranams. Pranams. So more than welcome. Very, very happy to see you.
Translation.
Hare Krishna. Very, very happy to see you. Understand? Yes. Okay, once you set up, then I will start. So, back to the point again. See, I'm giving some practical examples, finding some very practical, touchy examples even to describe. Because this is one of the main differences, between Gaudiya Maths and the ISKCON standard. They are different. There are other standards also. So those critics who try to judge his recommendation and his introduction of Guruvastakam, the song Guruvastakam as Mangalarati song, thinking that it's not right. They tend to criticize it's not right. It is because it's Mangalarati for Radha Krishna, Mahaprabhu, so their song, naturally some relevant songs should be sung as per normal standard. But it's a misjudgment. Unfortunately, such type of criticisms are made from certain angle, certain general standard. Okay. Although what they are saying, apart from the critic mentality, critic temperament, what they wanted to say, that is the normal standard of the Gaudiya Maths, established by Srila Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, and that's how it should be normal. This is quite correct. They are right in that. But they forget one thing Srila Swami Prabhupada ji also knew about. He was already well aware of that normal standard of the Gaudiya Maths, normal standard of the songs sung during Mangalarati. But at that stage, he felt special inspiration for all these newcomer disciples to first of all to have firm faith, cultivate firm faith in Sri Guru. Okay? Firm, unflinching faith in Sri Gurudev, deep faith. And in Sri Guru Bandhana, lot of glorifications about Radha Madhava, Mahaprabhu, some special glorifications, glories of Mahaprabhu's Radha Krishna, also narrated. So, in relation to the Guru Tattva, we find the descriptions, narrations of the glories of Mahaprabhu and Radha Krishna in that Guruvastakam song. So he thought that would be enough for them right now. All these newcomer disciples must be well educated first. They must be firstly educated to have firm faith in Gurudev's, in Sri Gurudev, okay, to have the deep submission, proper deep submission. They must be educated with having deep devotion to the Gurudev first. If they can have that, then all other purposes will be satisfied. So it will be like as good as singing the songs like Bhale Gora Goda Dhare Arati Nehari, or some other songs, similar songs, or Jaya Jaya Gora Chande Arati Ko Shobha. But of course, not for the evening time, he mentioned for the Mangala arati, that Guruvastakam song. So, back to the point, being fully aware of the facts, what is the standard Mangalarati song introduced by his Gurudev, Srila Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada. Yet he wanted to make some exception because the big acharyas, big ideal acharyas they reserve the right, to bring some change in the fields of implementations according to time, place, situations, according to the inspiration they feel, according to the special inspiration, they feel, which will be proper, which will be properly helpful to deal with the newcomer devotees, disciples, to educate them up, train them up from the basics. So he introduced that, and he didn't want to introduce too many songs in the first place, only Guruvastakam and then Panchatattva, Nishinga prayer, Mahamantra, complete. Brief. Like he didn't want to speak Harikatha often not more than half an hour. Half an hour, 40 minutes, finish. So, in spite of fully knowing about what his Gurudev Srila Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada established, introduced, Mangalarati song, he felt a special inspiration to bring a change, knowing it would be beneficial for all the disciples, for all the newcomer devotees, because he really wanted them to first be educated, to be having faith, firm faith in Gurudev. Knowing if they can be cultivating that firm faith, profound faith and respect, submission, devotion to Sri Guru, then it will be easier for me to guide them, to subject them to the higher reasons, and it will be much easier for them, to be cultivating their spiritual lives based on my instructions without questioning me what I am saying. Because they have already got full, firm faith in Guru. They have been trained up through these songs. So he wanted to lay special emphasis, special importance on that factor, and so he allowed it. He just set up he recommended that song, introduced that song as Mangalarati song. Fine. Thinking, Mahaprabhu is there, Siman Mahaprabhu Kirtana Nitya Gita, Vaditra Madhyan Manasho Rashena, Sangsara Dava Nalalira Lokatranayo Karunna Ghana Ganattam, Praptasya Kalyana Gunarna Vasya Bandi Gurasri Charanarabindam. Then next line coming, Mahaprabhu Kirtana Nitya Gita, Vaditra Madhyan Manasho Rashena. Romanchakam pasrutaranga bhaju bandi gurasri charanarabindam. In these lines, not only Gurudev being glorified, but Srila Gurudev is being glorified as the great devotee of Mahaprabhu. As a great devotee, pure devotee, a devoted servitor of Mahaprabhu. Through these lines, Mahaprabhu Kirtana Nitya Gita. Not that Gurudev being glorified as Supreme Personality of Godhead there. So devotees, the devotees with the liberal view can also see that even in that Mangalarati song, while arati being offered to Mahaprabhu being glorified in that Guruvastakam song through Gurudev, that is the song narrating the glories of Sri Guru, glorifying Sri Gurudev, but glorifying Gurudev how? As the pure devotee, dedicated servitor of Mahaprabhu. Mahaprabhu, not ordinary type of servitor, dedicated servitor who is decorated with all divine love signs. all over, in order to be absorbed, in order to be engaged in chanting and singing the glories, transcendental glories of Mahaprabhu. Gurudev also having the manifestations of divine thrills, manifestations of divine love symptoms, love signs all over. So ultimately, Mahaprabhu being glorified there. Not the Gurudev as personality of Godhead, but as the devotee, servitor of Mahaprabhu. Then, Chaturvidhasri Bhagavat Prasadu Swadanna Tiptan Hari Bhakta Sang. Chaturvidhasri Bhagavat Prasadu Swadanna Tiptan Hari Bhakta Sanghan. So, ultimately, who is being glorified? Throughout the whole Guruvastakam song, who is ultimately being glorified? Mahaprabhu and Radha Krishna. And in connection with them, being loving servitor to them, Guru is being glorified. So Gurudev is being glorified in relation, in connection with high-class glorifications, high-class narrations of the glories of Mahaprabhu and the divine couple. So it's not that is a song only around Sri Guru and Guru and Guru, only without the glories, without narration of the glories of Mahaprabhu and Radha Krishna. So he realized that, Srila Swami Prabhupada ji realized about that, felt about that. So he found that song will be ideal song, the song of combination of the glorification, combination of the narration of the glories of Mahaprabhu, divine couple, and Sri Guru together into one song. And that will be beneficial for my neophyte disciples, to train them up from the beginning. Because without letting them, without helping them to have firm faith in Guru's words, to follow Sri Gurudev, devotedly follow Sri Gurudev, it will be very difficult for them to cultivate their life. They are so independent nature. He knew these Europeans, Westerners are of so independent nature. So it is very foreign thing for them to dedicate, to be devoted, to learn how to surrender, to learn how to be dedicating, being devoted, even to God, what to speak more to Guru. So it would be difficult. So it's not easy thing for them, like something not so, something they are not so used to it. So Srila Swami Prabhupada therefore specifically wanted to introduce that song, even during Mangala Arati, for the benefits of the newcomer devotees, disciples, to educate them up first. Again, when I have just explained, why I have just explained, because the nature of the song Guruvastakam is the combination of the narration of the glories of Mahaprabhu, Radha Krishna and Guru Tattva in connection with each other. See, Mahaprabhu Kirtana Nitya Gito Vaditra Madhyan Manasho Rasena Romanchakam Pasrutaranga Bhajo Bandi Gurasri Charanarabindam Sivigrahara Dhana Nitya Nana Singara Tanmandira Marjanado Yuktasya Bhaktasya Nikunjatopi Bandi Gurasri Charanarabindam Chaturvidhasri Bhagavat Prasado Swadanna Tiptam. Anyway, Sri Radhika Madhavayoro Paro Sri Radhika Madhavayoro Paro Madhurja Lila Guna Rupa Namnam Pratikshana Sadhana Lolupascha Bandi Gurasri Charanarabindam Nikunja Juna Ratikeli Siddhai Jajali Bhir Jukti Rapekshaniya. I am not going to sing the whole Guruvastakam. It will take time. Then Sakshad Haritvena Samasta Shasti Jasya Prasadat Bhagavat Prasad. Show me one line, show me one stanza in the song Guruvastakam where Mahaprabhu, Radha Krishna not glorified. There is none. So That song, the very nature of the esoteric nature of the song Guruvastakam is not without the narration of the glories of Mahaprabhu divine couple, rather full of their glories, alongside narration of the glory of Sri Gurudev in relation to Mahaprabhu and divine couple. So he felt a special inspiration in that way, very specific way, that such song will be ideal for my disciples. Such song which is a combined representation of Mahaprabhu, Radha, Krishna and Guru Tattva. Combined representation of the narration of the glories of Mahaprabhu and divine couple together. Mahaprabhu, divine couple and Gurudev together. It will be very beneficial for all of them. So when they sing such song during Mangal Arati, Mahaprabhu glorified, divine couple glorified in relation to Sri Gurudev. Sri Gurudev also glorified. It is fine. Now, if somebody doesn't want to delve into this whole world of his own specific inspiration, realization, doesn't want to go deeper into that, trying to judge it from a normal standard, then and undesirably become sometimes doing some criticism undesirable way. Just trying to consider from just a normal regular standard, then cannot understand all these, So trying to judge it without the holistic picture of the inspirations, special inspirations he got during that time, under that specific time, place, situations at the time of the beginning of the ISKCON movement. To be benefiting, helping his newcomer disciples, to be educating them, and he felt that necessity very strongly. And it was quite right. So the reason I brought out this example, even it is touchy, sensitive example, but these are the certain things needs to be addressed. Because you asked me a question about the differences. Sometimes, confusion comes in the minds of different devotees or disciples of different missions, of different gurus, directed by different gurus. Which one is right, which one wrong, which one good, better or best, which one better or best, and which one not so better, best, good. So this kind of judgments and judgmentalisms come among the disciples of different Gaudiya Maths set up by, founded by different acharyas and gurus, and with different kinds of standards introduced by them. So then the question will arise, some vital questions will be arising around this issue, and this has been one of the issues. So since I am addressing about this issue, I wanted to clarify this without any confusion. As long as the critics are innocent, they don't mean to be offensive to the introduction of the Guruvastakam song by Srila Swami Prabhupada during Mangal Arati. As long as they don't mean to be offensive, they're just, ignorantly innocent type, because they are just saying from their own standard. It is okay. What they are saying is also right. What Srila Swami Prabhupada did also right. But when they particularly are trying to criticize him, why he did not accept the normal standard of the Mangal Arati song as introduced by Saraswati Thakur, Prabhupada, or Gaudiya Maths, why he introduced Guruvastakam song, not introduced by other acharyas before. before him? Why did he particularly set up that standard? Okay, made the Guruvastakam song as the song for Mangalarati. Why did he do it? Why did he change the standard? All this. Then that is undesirable. That kind of criticism not desirable. Upon knowing, Srila Swami Prabhupada was one of the topmost big genuine acharyas. He knew what to be done. So while he kept intact many original standards as set up by Bhaktivedanta Thakur, Saraswati Thakur, Prabhupada in his mission, he also brought about some changes. Okay, in introducing to introduce certain ISKCON standards with some change, how he felt right, what he felt to be right and very proper. But it would be very proper and beneficial and helpful for his mission, for his disciples. Okay, at least during that time, in the beginning time or growing time, in the beginning, initial stage, and at the growth, the stage of the growth from the initial level. So he was one of the very genuine, bona fide, high-class spiritual acharyas, Vaishnava acharyas, and he had that right to do that. Okay, he reserved that right to do that, to introduce and create certain standards according to certain time, place, situations as he felt. What other ideal acharyas from the past also had the same right. Not that all other acharyas from the past also followed the same way as set up by their previous acharyas, former acharya, but they also brought changes according to the time, according to their contemporary time, place, situations. Many acharyas, many previous acharyas, before Srila Swami Prabhupada or Srila Saraswati Goswami Thakur also brought about changes. They always kept some principles in common, unchanged, they accepted in unchanged form, whereas they brought about some changes according to the need of the hour, according to the very need of the then time, place, situations, to help their disciples, to help the contemporary devotees to the best, as in a best befitting way, according to the then time, place, situation. They did not, all the great acharyas never followed any stereotype, any stereotype fixed ways of implementing rules and regulations and systems. They all brought about certain changes. So, following in their footsteps also Srila Swami Prabhupada and many of our Guru Varga in their own individual missions also brought about certain changes. So, until and unless something is proven from an absolute platform or plane, it's very, very wrong, aposiddhanta. Otherwise, all the alternative kinds of the standard, alternative types, alternative kinds of the standards and disciplines, disciplinary measures, or introduction of the temple, of the everyday process, process of sadhana in each temple by their founder Acharya Guru should be considered. They are all right. Every standard is right and correct. Okay, they are like substitute to each other. Just as I have explained, eating is more important. While you are hungry, you are feeling hungry, you want to eat food. So, eating delicious food is important. Okay, it doesn't matter. Okay, which way you are eating. Okay, when you cook, it becomes delicious. When Prahlad Nrsimha Prabhu cooks, become delicious. Malati Devi cooking, becoming delicious. So one cannot say, oh, only when he will cook, only it will be delicious, when another cooking will not be delicious. Cannot say that. Which is all important to cook food properly, delicious way, nutritious food. No matter who is cooking, through whose hand it is coming. And tasting and eating food is more important, no matter whether you are eating with hands or spoons or chopsticks, but all satisfying your hunger. That is important. Different substitute ways is fine. Okay. I gave you the more examples before Dharma Sutta Prabhu come. So this what happens when coming in between, in the middle, you may not get the full picture of the explanations of the whole, because you are hearing from the middle point.
I made some short summary to so you know the
Okay, later on, maybe may not be not now. Okay. So, how quickly you did that within all this? Oh. You become very fast and micropoint efficiency, micro-unit efficiency of explanations. So back to the point again. All the substitute standards, processes, disciplinary measures, disciplinary ways, or recommendations, do's and don'ts set by all the qualified Vaishnava acharyas in all their own respective missions, in consideration of their own taste, his individual taste, also taste of the disciples, and also their capacities, are all correct and right, like substitute to each other. Okay, this is the harmonious way of understanding. Okay. So engaging in so just simply engaging in arguing, okay, in arguing which is right, which is wrong, which is better, which is best, which is good, is not really necessary. Okay, it is not normally desirable. Unless and until, there can be some exceptions. From a neutral stand of the analysis, from the neutral stand of the considerations, understanding, sometimes within a reserved circle of highly intelligent and wise devotees, certain standards, different standards introduced by our Guru Varga in their different missions can be judged, can be analyzed and properly considered, which one good, which one better, which one best. But that can be only done within a qualified circle of the very intelligent, broad-minded, wise devotees with matured wisdom, matured knowledge of Siddhanta and wisdom, devotional wisdom, can be discussed from a very neutral stand of consideration again, which standard applied, introduced by which Gurudev is good, which one better, which one best. But this should not be discussed. This cannot be a subject matter of discussion or any argument in a public way, common devotee society. Then it will bring a lot of confusion, unnecessary quarrels and conflicts, fanatical conflicts. Then ultimately it will be defeating the real purpose. See, the parasites will grow up, receiving the fertilization and water of parasites will grow up, and the real crops cannot grow up. They will be down, and parasites, weeds will grow up more. That is not desirable. I can also give other examples, like you know. Our Guru Maharaj gives some nice examples, practical example. Which is more important, the way nose looks or how it breathes? As long as the breathing is going on fine, it doesn't really matter whether nose look this way or that way or another way. Okay, it's not very important factor because breathing is going on fine. But on the other hand, on the opposite side, nose looking very nice but cannot breathe properly, then it's useless nose. Okay? There's a very purpose of having the nose is defeated. Because the main purpose of having the nose for breathing. Breathing nicely. Okay? And then secondary and third purpose of the nose, how it looks. How it looks. So Guru Maharaj nicely explained by saying forms and essence. Forms and essence. That we must be very particular, we must be very, very attentive, very devoted to accept the essence, embrace the essence beyond the forms, or even if it is necessary, eliminating the form. But he also said, if the forms and essence both come together harmoniously in a beautiful way, that is well and good. That's very good. But if any such situation comes, whether you accept the forms or essence, okay, whether to accept the dead form or the essence, then we must choose the essence, eliminating the form. Because the form is meant to promote the essence. The very form is meant to serve the purpose of essence. Okay, not that essence is there to be used to promote the form. You know, our body is necessary to promote the life. Okay. If the body cannot promote the life, cannot maintain the life, it is useless, it becomes dead body. Similarly, forms are all created, different kinds of systems, disciplines and forms, formal ways are created to serve the main purpose, serve the essential purpose. As long as they are efficiently, nicely serving the main purpose, to promote the essence, nurture and promote the essence, the forms are very valuable. If the forms create blockage to do that, creates any disservice, defeats the purpose, then in that case forms should be eliminated. To embrace only the essence. And we have to find out a more suitable form which is more suitable to promote that essence. And eliminate the form which is no more working to favor, in a favorable way, to be promoting the essence. I repeat, that we should be eliminating that kind of form which is no more working as favorable to promote the essence. So, so in this way, Guru Varga explained, it is not always so important how a person's face looks, how a person's face or body looks. But if that person has got the qualities, and the person has got higher human values, qualities, then he is a very valuable person, regardless of how he is apparently looking, bodily looking. But if both aspects come together, it is well and good. Looking beautiful, are also decorated with beautiful qualities, it's well and good. But when question is coming about making a choice, looking beautiful form, but a low-class person, evil type of person looking good. No, that cannot be accepted. Rather, apparently ugly-looking person, but bodily ugly-looking person, but very qualified, full of human values, full of goodness. That person should be accepted as a real human being. So, it is that. But again, when the forms and the essence both come together beautiful way, harmoniously, it's well and good. Very nice, ideal. We find that ideal combination in Radha, in our divine goddess Radharani, Krishna, Mahaprabhu. All are ideally unified, forms and essence and everything. In our ideal Guru Varga. So back to the point. So all the considerations of our Siddhanta must be done keeping in view the holistic picture, the whole picture, entire picture of the world of the Siddhanta. Okay. Cannot be done just on a relative, based on a relative point, relative viewpoint, only a relative angle of vision of the Siddhanta. Because holistic nature of Siddhanta must be realized holistically. It cannot be realized limitedly, relatively, partially. Holistic Siddhanta must be realized holistically. Complete Siddhanta must be realized completely. Absolute way, absolutely. Cannot be realized partially or partly. That is called harmony. So now, Tattvadarshi, do you think your question has been answered, or you have further questions in relation to that in a particular way?
I wanted to bring it back to the Muslims, actually.
Okay.
Because I have very little experience with them. But do you remember when we were in Mahabalipuram, there were these temple stones carved in the rock. Then there were...
Can you speak a little loudly so that others can hear?
There were Vishnu Leelas carved. And part of this carving was chipped off by Muslims, meaning, some king took over and felt in his religious fever, like I has to respect God by fulfilling instruction of not describing his form. Actually, you made a big up.
Yes, we find in many special or exceptional situations, we find things were happening, still are happening, will be happening in future, in exceptional ways. Apart from the normally established standard ways, traditional ways, often many good things also happen in special ways, exceptional ways, under special time, place, situations. Like we find some great devotees of Lord Jagannath, Muslim devotee. It's also there from Puri, Odisha. We also know these stories, factual story, true facts of some great devotees of Lord Jagannath came from Muslim family. I think there is such, or Chandalo. Okay. Once I heard there was some great devotee of Jagannath. He had some connection with the Muslim family. It may not be exactly Muslim, but some lineage connection. Because many of the Hindus got forcibly converted into Muslims, in the previous times. So he was connected to that kind of family. And also, we find a great devotee of Lord Jagannath from Chandala, Shudra, even lower than the Shudra family. Okay. And Lord Jagannath was so pleased to be closely relating with that devotee. So we find examples of Rui Das, Dharma Vyadha, even Ratnakara Valmiki Muni, then Kabir, Kabir was a great devotee of the God, although not directly accepted by Gaudiya Maths, but from a neutral stand, he was also one of the great devotees of the Supreme God in his own way. Okay, because he wrote many beautiful hymns in love songs, songs dedicated to the service to the God. Although from the Muslim family, Kabir, we call Doha. Doha, composed by Kabir. He was from Muslim family. What to speak more of Namacharya Haridas Thakur. We all know this Tanto. And then Chand Kaji, after he was converted into a great devotee of Lord Chaitanya. After Lord Chaitanya's movement, after his procession, Sankirtana procession, approached, came to the door of Chand Kaji. Then of course at some point he came out. People tried to be very aggressive and attacking. At some point Mahaprabhu controlled them. Some point Mahaprabhu had some control over the attacking people, aggressive, angry people. They had ground for angry. They had sufficient ground for being so angry with Chand Kaji. You all know this story. So Mahaprabhu pacified those aggressive people at some point. Talks began between Mahaprabhu and Chand Kaji. And then at some point Chand Kaji became converted into a great devotee of Lord Chaitanya. And he promised before him, after he was converted into a great devotee of Lord Chaitanya, he promised from then onwards what to speak more of blocking or trying to obstruct Sankirtan activity. He would rather be promoting it. And that's what he did. Being a Muslim ruler after his total conversion, as being follower of Lord Chaitanya, devoted follower, then thereafter he acted opposite way. He rather promoted Hari Sankirtan activity in the Navadvip Mayapur thereafter. So Namacharya Haridas Thakur, even Chand Kaji, they all became great devotees, but Muslim family. Even some of the children, some of the immediate Chand Kaji dynasty also remained. They also followed Vaishnava culture, Mahaprabhu's way. But then thereafter, as the dynasty came down and down, it got mixed up again. But still, even till today, they have got a high regard, lot of regard and devotion towards Mahaprabhu. We find in the dynasty of Chand Kaji, although it is very suppressed, very hidden type, not so open, publicly open, but still they traditionally, they keep up the tradition and they're quite respectful towards Mahaprabhu, even till today, Chand Kaji's dynasty. It's mixture. They follow Islam. Also Mahaprabhu's line got mixed up. So, exceptional examples. Even many of our temples, Gaudiya Maths, also built up. Or some of the Gaudiya Math temples also built up by Muslim, builders. By Muslim builders. It got mixed up. Hindu builder, Muslim builder, both. So, it's mixed up.
I was just thinking about this phenomenon of forbidding to paint the form.
Paint the form?
Of God. And I think Muslims follow it very strictly, right? It's nowhere in a mosque, it's just like for, 600 years.
Well, they have got different approach. As long as their approach remain more in a gentle way, as long as until their approach to such approach remain or represented, such approach is represented more in a gentle way, courteous way, some nice, peaceful, human way, we understand. Because, you see, ultimately what is the reality? They are denying the form of Allah. They are denying any type of form, okay, or painting of Allah. Finally, to highly honor Allah, because they consider it is a great insult and offense to paint any picture or create any form of Allah. It will be limiting Him, belittling Him, making Him more material, like idol or some kind of product of human product of imagination. Oh, it's a great insult to Allah. Great insult to Allah. How Allah can be represented such a limited way. He is unlimited, infinite, unlimited, transcending beyond human capacity, human imagination, and human production of the artwork or forms. Yes. So, when we are creating the deities or painting Supreme Lord, that's also ultimately meant to highly honor the same Supreme Lord. And the same thing misunderstood by them, they are thinking it's worstly degrading the Lord, worstly insulting the Lord. So their main purpose of denying this also to ultimately highly honor the Supreme Lord Allah to them. So they are not doing it purposefully, they are not doing it purposely to insult Allah, but they think rather to safeguard Allah's highest honor, highest respect. See, so the very intention behind is very good. Very intention and purpose behind that denial of the paintings or any form, material form of the God is very good. Because ultimately they are meaning it to highly honor, unlimitedly honor Allah to the highest extent. So much so, they think limiting this very offensive. Limiting Allah in this way through painting, portraying, or form, some sort of form, very offensive. See. So, but here is the point, and on this is one side. On the other side, here we see opposite way. Okay, we are accepting the deities form, paintings of Krishna as very favorable to the cultivation of higher devotional life, greatly helpful, showing more respect, unless until it's misused in a wrong way, okay, like deforming, creating a form of God in an ugly, deforming way, or painting and deformation. I'm not saying that. But as long as devotees are making the paintings and creating the beautiful deities to worship God through them, they're also doing the same to highly honor, greatly honor the same Supreme Absolute Divine Lord. And He is same, without second. He is the one without second. Whether Allah or God or Bhagavan or Parang Brahma, Paramatma, Jehava, or He is the same. Supreme, the Supreme Absolute Reality, Supreme Absolute Divine. So there is no difference. Only so much difference in understanding. Sometimes both sections become so expert to misunderstand each other's ways that they forget to properly understand. And therefore the fanaticism comes and it defeats the whole purpose. See, both are doing their things to ultimately highly, completely, absolutely honor the same Supreme Absolute Divine Reality, Allah, God, Bhagavan, Paramatma, Parang Brahma, Jehovah, all. See, but they cannot understand each other. they're fighting against each other. What is that? So, when the devotees, spiritualists of the high level, they can see the truth and they can easily harmonize. For them, no problem. But those who only understand in a relative way, very relatively prejudiced way, they can see only one side and cannot see the other side. And trying to judge like blinds who are judging the elephant. You know that story. Like blind men, many blind men are judging the elephant, immediately jumping into decision as soon as they touch a part of the elephant. They all started crying and shouting at each other. Oh, now I have now I have known the elephant. One of the blinds touched only a tail part of the elephant. Oh, elephant is like some python. Elephant is like a big snake, long snake. Oh, hooray! Wonderful. Say, hey, I have now understood elephant. Elephant is like a long snake. Another grabbed elephant's leg. Oh, elephant is like a big pillar, thick pillar. Okay. Another touched the middle part of the elephant. Elephant is like a rock stone, big rock stone. Another touching the ear. Oh, it's like a big fan. Something to fan. Touching the trunk, another touching trunk. Oh, it looks like cute. Looks like kind of a small python type. Very strong, the trunk. Someone touching the teeth only. Oh, it's like some weapon we use for praying. Some nice teeth. Everybody, now they shouted each other. They have already understood elephant. They started, everybody now got engaged to describe how they understood the elephant. And then everybody started quarreling. Some point then they had huge conflict and quarrel because everybody was describing elephant just differently, partial way. Then at some point, their teacher, the guide, the teacher who took all of them, said, stop now. None of you understood the elephant. Now come, one by one. Now I make you understand, I help you all understand what real elephant is. Then one by one, he took one by one, the blind student, one by one, and made them touch over the whole elephant. With patience, say, wait, don't jump into decision. Okay, wait, have patience. Made him touch all over the elephant. Then he said, do you understand? Do you now understand what is elephant? To their surprise, yes. Oh, this is elephant, holistic. That's the real concept of the elephant. So when he took one by one, everyone, all the blinds by hand and made them realize the whole elephant, there were no more quarrel. No more quarrel. Then there were everyone describing about the elephant was same. They agreed with each other. This is what happens. Okay? Because forgetting the essence, forgetting the highest essence of all the religions, which is good, to be honoring the Supreme God, Supreme Lords, Allah or Bhagavan. They become engaged in apparent relative formal conflicts. And it becomes big fight and war and blasphemous, offensive. All these begin. So, it's like that. See, in our Vedantic philosophy, I tell you, again, in our Vedic wisdom or in our Sanatana dharma wisdom, both ways are well accommodated, impersonal and personal ways. Again, I don't mean Mayavadi kind of impersonal way. Accommodating impersonal ways, energy form, potency form of the Lord doesn't necessarily mean have to be Mayavadi. That's a different thing. Mayavadi way of impersonalism and devotee way of impersonal realization, both are different from each other, distinct from each other. We have to be careful. So here I am talking about high class high-class devotee favorable, okay, devotional impersonalistic ways of realization of the God, as Brahmeti and Paramatmeti, besides Bhagavan realizations. There could be Brahma, Parang Brahma realization and Paramatma realization about Krishna, okay, before reaching Bhagavan conception of Krishna. It is quite possible and fully accommodated by Srila Shukadev Goswami. Actually, we find many great devotees of Lord Krishna who previously used to be more yogis, Jnani and yogis, from Parang Brahma platform, Parang Brahma level, Paramatma level, then they came to become, finally they came to be devoted lover of Krishna. So, they are all helpful. So, in all religions we find impersonal as well as personalistic ways of worships of the Supreme. I repeat, in all religions practically we find personal as well as impersonalistic ways of the worships. Love worships of the God. Okay. Hardly you will find, except for Buddhist or a few ones, Buddhism or few ones, you hardly will find any religion which doesn't promote love of God or loving service to God. And or they do not accommodate both ways. So, more or less, many of the religions, except few, many of the religions do accommodate impersonal as well as personal ways of worshipping the Supreme Truth, Supreme Divine Truth. So, now, all the conflicts are basically started by very limited understandings. Suppose the same Islamic people or preachers who speak out or who propagate so proudly that we don't accept any formal worships of Allah. If we question them, oh, so do you really mean it? You don't accept any kind of formal ways of relating to Allah, worships of Allah? If they say no, I say, then why do every year, why do you go to a specific place, Makkah, Medina, and you go to a specific temple, mosque, you place your kisses and pay all your respects over there. Why do you have to do that? Allah is everywhere. So it is another form of deity worships. You are not worshipping Allah in the form of some figure, in the form a human figure of any deity. Okay? But you are worshipping the same Allah and Allah's place in the form of a building, mosque, which is sum total of some wall and certain shape, certain form. What is that? It is another kind of form, formal worships. Then if we ask them, while you are reading Quran, there are some scripts there. It is another form. Why do you have to follow that Arabic form or that writing? And you are praising, you are narrating the glories of Allah, praising so much Allah through those, by reading those forms. Each and every syllable, each and every letter is a form. The book you publish is a form. The book, Quran, you respect so much. You place that Quran in a very respectable way, you worship Quran. It's a form, it's a book form of the Allah's glories. It's a book form of Allah, Allah's representation. It's also a form. Okay? So why do you respect that book very specifically way? You don't put Quran equal like other, you don't treat your Quran as equal to other ordinary books. Why do you differentiate? All are forms. That is also book. Ordinary book also looks book form. This also looks book form. That also has got pages. It also contains pages. That also got letters, printed letter. It also got letters. All are form. So what is the very big deal? What is something very, very specially important with that book, Qur'an, with those letters inside the Qur'an? Makes you worship it. It's also formal worships in the form of book. So you are relating to Allah, worshipping Allah in the form of book, Qur'an. In the form of letters, what you are reading, okay, in the form of the letters. In the form of your sounds, what you are uttering, what you are pronouncing every day, okay, Allahu Akbar, okay, or Rasulullah, or how to say this? So they have got very specific ways. So when you are giving ajan every day when you are giving ajan so many times during the day, what is that? It's a sound form, a specific. That contains specific ways of utterance, articulations by tongue, okay? Specific arts, it follows specific arts of pronunciation. Another form, another language. Why do you do that? How can you limit Allah within the pronunciation of those particular sound vibrations? How can you dare to be limiting Allah, Allah's glories, to be expressing through the limited language, limited forms of your pronunciation, articulation through ajan? How can you do that? How can you dare to limit the glories of the same Allah, okay, in the form of book, Qur'an? How can you describe it through the syllables in the form of book? Okay, how can you have only a particular place, limited place like mosque to worship Allah? Okay, you have to go to your mosque. Why? You can go anywhere. Sometimes they do, of course, they do namaz everywhere. But why you cannot treat the whole world as Allah's temple? Why you have to go to a particular mosque? It is another form of worshipping. Okay, and certain rules and regulations you follow. See, during your holy months, you follow certain rules and regulations, and your mosque also has got disciplinary measures, do's and don'ts. There are also forms. So, why do you follow all those forms of rules and regulations to cultivate the devotion to Allah, life of worships to Allah? So why are you limiting? Why are you limiting the process of worshipping Allah through such formal rules and regulations and process? So if we ask them, they cannot properly answer. They can answer in some way, relative sense, but absolute sense, they cannot really answer.
It's self-defeating, right? Their arguments.
Yes. Yes. Also, the way they dress up, the way they look, they dress up, their dress code to become a pure Muslim, Islamic. Also following certain forms, body language. So, in so many ways they are following up forms, certain forms. In so many ways they are actually worshipping Allah. I repeat, in so many formal ways, so many other formal ways they are worshipping Allah. As soon as it comes down, it all comes down to making deity or painting. Oh, it became so blasphemous, became so insulting. How is that? If your book Qur'an look little bit distorted or some not so nice, is the value of Qur'an will go down because it looks apparently distorted? It apparently doesn't look so good, well bound or well decorated. Does it mean the value of the Qur'an will go down? Because Qur'an is Qur'an. No doubt whether it is printed by ordinary paper or by ordinary printing way, it is printed in an ordinary way by ordinary paper, or it is printed in quality paper or very high class quality way. Qur'an remains Qur'an. value should be remaining same. It cannot be judged based on forms. So therefore, so sometimes, again, I would say, while the devotees are taking deities worshipping, deities or painting picture, deities painting should look first class quality. Often I also don't like the so-called artistic way of the paintings of Radha, Krishna, Mahaprabhu, all these. Okay, I also don't like that personally and also on principle. It's a trend they are following like that. Okay, so, but that's not ideal way. They consider, it's an art, it is a trend of the art. Okay, fine. But overall, all the paintings about the Supreme Lord, Divine God and Goddess, all the forms of the deity should look first class. First class. So that it looks very honorable, very respectable. Jagannath Dev way of looking is a typical way, specialized way. Many people love that. Many devotees can love. One has to know how to cultivate some attachment towards that form of looks of Lord Jagannath Dev. In some way it is incomplete form because Lords didn't have the chance. Vishwakarma didn't have the chance to complete the deity of their deities. In other ways it's a melted form. So it's another thing, another consideration. How Jagannath, Subhadra, Baladevji looks. In the eyes of the deities, they look very fine. In others' eyes, they look opposite way. They consider it's black magic god. Black magic god, all this from Indian Tantra. But in the eyes of the devotees, they're looking beautiful in a very looking cutely wonderful, cutely beautiful way instead of normally beautiful way. Okay, so but it's beautiful. So, now back to the point. So when the Islamic saints, Islamic devotees of Allah also realize, they have been worshipping Allah through so many formal ways, then what's the big deal when it comes to the making of the deities, worshipping the Supreme God in the form of beautiful deities or some paintings? What's the big deal? Because those devotees from Sanatana dharma, in the Vedic culture, those devotees from Sanatana dharma ultimately doing that, creating beautiful deities of the Lord, or creating beautiful paintings of the Lord, ultimately to highly honor the same Supreme Lord, not at all to insult. The way you feel that is wrong. The way you feel that is very insulting way, it's not proper. It's not proper because you are judging only in one way. You don't see the other way. You are only seeing things only in one way. You cannot see the same things in other ways. There are also other beautiful ways to look at the same reality. So it's a limited concept. But it's being recorded. If some of them hear about it, they will be angry. Now Bhakti, how can he say? Then it will go like beyond any reasoning. No, it has been said in Quran, that deity, idol worshipping deity is very blasphemous. So we cannot really try to understand through reasoning. Whatever said in Quran, whatever is said, we have been taught that is absolute. When it comes to the painting or making deity, it is absolutely offensive, insulting. And that is stated, it is written. So Bhakti Nandan Swami cannot say anything. He cannot make it a subject matter of any discussion or even any logical analysis, reasonable analysis or explanation. We don't care about it. Whatever is written down and being preached through our tradition, we just accept it. And we'll continue to. Then we have nothing to say more. Then the question will arise whether everything written in the printed form of the Quran, whether they are all originally, they are original manifestations from original Quran, or they are interpolations, and different as Quran came down, thousands of years, came down through the different social culture, time, place, situation. There could be some interpolations also. They are created, they are separately created, all the sentences, and mixed, inserted, in the message of the Quran, and many people didn't know about it, and accepting it directly came from Prophet Muhammad, Hazrat Muhammad ji. They think it's directly coming from great Hazrat Muhammad ji. And they're accepting like that. So, without understanding, there could be some, not possible, there could be it could be very much possible. It could be very much possible and most probable that the many, certain stanzas, certain parts, sentence of the Quran interpolated later on. They are inserted later on, entered later on, not coming from the original Quran as the original message from Allah. They are purposefully created, inserted by some humans to promote certain aspects of the Christianity. He wants to come in, or what happening to him?
She's just doing pranams like this.
And then she got scared somehow. I feel a little bit ashamed, I guess.
Okay. So that also needs to be explained to them. Anything you are reading in the form of hadith or some parts because they have got original Quran and some supporting too, like supplementary things to Quran. So anything you are reading there may not be absolutely taken, absolutely accepted. Okay, they can be relatively understood. They can be accepted by you all more relatively, in a relative sense, but it's not necessary to take each and every parts or sentences, expressions of, some of the parts of the Quran which could be mixed up, not original Quran, but which could be mixed up with insertions, and also some part of hadith created later on by other Islamic saints, and they also made their commentary and statement. They all do not need to be taken in very absolute sense. Because also there are apparently opposite things are spoken in many holy scriptures, even in their literature. According to different time, place, situation, we find there are some instructions or injunctions or messages apparently opposed to each other. How about that? Because Islam also propagates of peace and harmony, doing justice to others. And some part also talks of killing the kafir. Killing anyone doesn't accept Islam formally, exactly the way Quran says them is kafir, non-Muslim. Killing them will be some virtuous act. You can Jannat, you'll attain Jannat, how do you say, in their language. You'll be attaining Jannat, behest. So, so that is also there. Messages of peace and harmony also there. Respecting others, even respecting other religions also there. Treating others with affection, kindness, non-violence also there. On the other side, also opposite sides also found. You can kill any kafir, it will be considered like virtuous act. because you are killing the non-devotees of Allah, because in their eyes they are all non-devotees of Allah. Any other devotees from other religion are all non-devotees, they are kafir, kill them, you will receive punnam, okay, and you will be, that will be considered virtuous act, you will go to Behest or Jannat. See? So also others, we find some sort of description like, either you accept Qur'an or I will behead you. One hand sword, one hand Qur'an. Either you accept or you will be beheaded. So we find both ways. And they are not really harmonious with each other at all. Not real, they are not at all harmonious with each other. They are opposing each other, self-contradictory. They are very much self-contradictory. So, like other scriptures, we also find in the Islamic scriptures many self-contradictory things. But if we don't, okay, so some portions of certain scriptures are understood to be less important, okay, unnecessary things. They came through interpolation, new interpretation and new insertions. Because it's quite possible it's coming down throughout the years. At some point it was not even printed out. It was coming down through memory and speaking, before it got printed out, before it even got written down. Always. So there's natural possibility of changes happening. So some of the negative things also got inserted in all the scriptures, not only Islamic scripture, all the religious scriptures. There are so many positive things, also there are some negative things. It happened due to different political time, place, situations, and powerful political people who are controlling the religious world, like kings, queens, and others, political leaders. So, quite possible. Just as even in the modern age, we find the history is being changed. History is being rewritten due to the obligation, due to the influence of the political leaders. So if it is possible in this modern civilization where everyone is conscious of what is happening, then how could it not be possible when the scriptures coming down for so long throughout the years? There will be no changes, no purposeful insertions will not happen, changing the history will not happen. How could it be possible? Rather, it is very possible, very much possible. So that has to be kept in mind. So when they feel, saying this means saying against Quran, against Allah's message, it's not necessarily like that. Rather it is safeguarding Allah's pure message and making discriminations between pure messages from Allah and Allah's Prophet and some willful or some purposeful insertions later on. Purposeful interpolation or insertions. So this has to be understood with discriminating knowledge, discriminating intelligence. Should I go on this? I think you got the answer. So any other question related to your main question?
I just think that this girl was sent by some goddess to bless you that you were brave enough to tell this.
She was a girl? Oh. How could she see? She could see through some ista-gosthi going on. Even among the Islamic people, the different groups, Sufi group, Shia, Sunni, Sufis, with some varied conceptions of the Islams.
I heard even one Sufi singing that I sing because
Sufi saints are very broad-hearted, broad-minded.
Allah, because He's so beautiful. So how He can be so beautiful without any form?
Exactly,
It's like
exactly. They don't even say he or she. They will say it is. Allah means it is so beautiful. So we can immediately ask, so do you think addressing Allah as it is the best way of addressing instead of divine he or she? Is more honorable way of addressing Allah. Why do you want to address Allah in a more material, objective way? Why not personal way, subjective way also? As give Him the full honor of real He, highest divine He, or highest divine she. It's better way of honoring, addressing Allah. And the conception of beauty cannot be only in energy form. Okay? You can say Allah is so beautiful in impersonal energy form, that's right. But also He can be manifesting very beautiful in wonderful, beautiful form. Both ways. And in our Bhagavata religion, Srimad Bhagavata religion, both ways are accepted. Brahmeti, Paramatmeti and Bhagavaniti. All three ways are accepted. Brahma way of realization of God, Paramatma way, and finally Bhagavan way of realization. All are nicely harmonized. Actually, in Shukadev Goswami's assembly of Srimad Bhagavatam, it was a mixture. The people, the audience in the assembly was so much mixture. Mixed with follower of Paranga Brahma follower, Paramatma follower, and Bhagavan follower. They're all mixture from the stream of Paranga Brahma, Gyanis, stream of Paramatma, realization. Means yogis. So we find the sections of the Gyanis, sections of the yogis, worshipper of the Paramatma, and also devotees like Devarshi Narada, Vyasadeva, others. It was a mixture. But they all were adherently hearing Shukadev Goswami. Because Shukadev Goswami was combining all three aspects. Shukadev Goswami was having the character of all these three aspects. From his very birth, okay, and the way he grew up, fully situated in Paranga Brahma consciousness. So he was a great Jnani in the first place, Shukadev Goswami. And then he was also absorbed in Paramatma consciousness. Shukadev Goswami. Seeing Krishna's presence, feeling Krishna's presence as Paranga Brahma and Paramatma all over. And finally, he related to the Bhagavan conception of that same all-pervading infinite Paranga Brahma and Paramatma. And then he became great devotee, Premi Bhakta of Krishna finally. So therefore, all the saints, all the big saints from all this lineage, all that, traditions, that of Jnana tradition, Parang Brahma tradition, Yoga tradition, Paramatma tradition, and the Bhakti, Prema tradition, all were assembled and all were listening to Shukadev Goswami with rapt attention, full honor, because they all knew Shukadev Goswami is the combination of all. He had the combined characters of Parang Brahma realization, Paramatma realization, Now Bhagavan realizations. Therefore, they all consider him to be a great teacher. And they all could follow him, accept him. Gaur Hari. Any other query, related or unrelated? What is the time? 8 o'clock? Oh, that's 8 o'clock. So, Maluti Devi Dasi told me today is ista-gosthi. Every Monday having ista-gosthi. Now I can spontaneously describe, explain on the character of ista-gosthi. What is and how is ista-gosthi? What is the character of ista-gosthi? It is so nicely described by Rupa Goswami. Through that verse, dadati pratigrihinati gujyamakhati prichati bhungte bhojayate chaiva sarvidhang pritilakshanam. So, a great definition of ista-gosthi. One of the great definitions, ideal definitions of ista-gosthi given by Rupa Goswami through this verse. Dadati pratigrihinati guhyamakhyati prichhati bhungte bhojayati chaiva sarvidhang pritilakshanam. Dadati, giving, pratigrihinati, taking in return. So, giving and receiving in return. It's not material giving or taking. Never material business giving or taking. But meaning divinely giving and divinely taking in return. In other words, divinely sharing, mutually sharing your higher spiritual treasures, divine treasures between each other. And when I'm saying mutually sharing with each other means giving and taking, both. Gujyamakhati prichhati, revealing one's own mind to the beloved friend, beloved like-minded, saintly friend, in confidence, with love and trust. Gujyamakhati prichhati. Revealing one's own esoteric, intimate realizations, experience to a beloved saint, to a beloved sadhu, whom he considers very like-minded and loves, and he feels love and trust. And also, Gujyamakhati, and also in return, prichhati, also asking him, also nicely, lovingly, devotedly asking him also to be sharing his own esoteric, his or her own esoteric intimate experiences with him. It's a loving mutual exchange, mutually loving exchange about each other's bhajana experience, bhajana realizations. between. That is Gaudiya Prichati. And the nature of give and take I just explained before. It is opposed to ordinary, simply opposed to ordinary way of giving and taking. Because in ordinary way of give and take policy, it is considered as a planned contract, selfish business contract. Selfish business contract. I give you and I must take from you. When I give you, you must also give me something in return. So it's a give and take business policy. But herein, the very nature of giving and taking is divinely oriented, more highly spiritually, is more highly divinely oriented, devotionally oriented. The nature of give and take, I repeat, more devotionally oriented, qualified, opposed to mundanely conditioned, selfish business contract, that of giving and taking. Because while someone is giving to his another loved devotee, I repeat, when one pure devotee is lovingly giving, exchanging, sharing something with other loved devotee, it's a divine giving, devotional way of giving. There's some feelings of love and devotion for the other devotee, in relation to the Supreme God, the supreme object and subject of all our devotional worships, in relation to that our supreme beloved Lord, because he is a devotee, so the giver also being in a devoting mood to be giving something, some very most valuable gift. His devotional gift of the bhajana from his own bhajana life, devotional sharing the devotional treasure from his own bhajana life. So giving is also devotionally qualified. I repeat, the nature of giving is also qualified in a devotional way, and he is also expecting something in return. Also expected, that expectation also naturally qualified with some devotion. Devotionally qualified and blessed. Ways of giving, characters of giving, and the ways and characters of taking, nature of taking in return, both are devotionally decorated, qualified. So it's called devotional business. Higher spiritual business and devotional business. That giving and taking, dadati pratigrihnati. Because what happens when the like-minded, like-hearted sadhus get together to have the ista-gosthi, every one of them wanting to give, and every one of them actually wanting to give and give. Sharing with so much love and care. They're wanting to be sharing their treasure with each other, among each other. Every one of them wanting to be giving so much because of their care for others. Opposed to miserliness, opposed to miser nature. Of course, such. So what happens? When everybody wants to, when every sadhu, every pure devotee wants to give and give, then everyone giving to each other. So there has to be taking also. So therefore, I am giving to you, you are also giving to me. So I am giving and I am taking, both happening together. I am not only giving you, I am also lovingly taking from you. I am not only becoming so happy and pleased, okay, to be giving from me, giving some of my treasure to you, but also I'm equally enjoying happiness to be receiving gifts from you, blessed gifts from you, treasure from you. And thereby, this is called the full-fledged relationship being cultivated. Relationship means it's not one way, it's both ways. Whenever we talk about ideal relationship, ideal loving relationship, faithful relationship, it cannot be just one way. It has to be reciprocative from both sides. This is called ista-gosthi, through giving and taking. Everybody wants to give and everybody wants to take also. Some beautiful, happy competitions of giving and taking. So, so the pure devotees, thus the pure devotees sharing, in other words, thus the such character of sharings between the pure devotees through giving and taking are considered one of the signs and definitions, characters of the ista-gosthi, mutual exchanges, mutual sharing and caring of each other's bhajana life, helping each other to grow up together. Sankirtana mode. The principle is also very much represented through Krishna Sankirtana mode, growing up, developing together, through harmoniously mutual, loving cooperations, loving sharings, loving devotional sharings and carings for each other. Beautiful. So growing up in harmony. Blossoming up in harmony, together. So both sides become so happy, both sides become so enthused, joyfully enthused to give and to take. When everybody wants to give, giving to whom? Someone has to take. When everyone wants to take, when all the devotees want to take and take, like, please share with me your ambrosial treasure of bhajana experience. Taking, praying. Everybody wanting to take, hankering after taking. That everybody also has to be giver, someone has to be giver. Complementing each other. Both principles, both ways are complementing each other. And helping us growing together. Ista-gosthi. One of the characteristics, one of the special characteristics of the ista-gosthi. Dadati pratigrihinati. The next, Gujyamakhati prichhati. I already explained about that. And such exchanges about revealing one's own mind and heart, revealing one's own esoteric, intimate bhajana realization experience with each other. It's not just discussion. It is like sharing each other's realization and taste. Sharing each other's ambrosial taste, blissful taste, realization of their bhajana life. Okay. Vijamakhati prichhati is that. Not only just having some nice exchanges of their views and intimate feelings and experience of bhajana life, but also is very meaningful. It's very meaningful reciprocation, helping each other, making each other also realize what they are sharing, what they are revealing to each other alongside. Okay, it's not just only some sort of some nice normal reciprocations or exchanges, but actually helping each other, like transmitting each other's intimate experience of the bhajana life into each other. In that way they are sharing it directly, mutually, very live reciprocation. It is very, very live reciprocation, full of so much loving sharing and caring. Gujyamakhati prichhati bhungte bhojayate chaiva bhungte bhojayate. The devotee himself is tasting and also making the other partner taste the same. Bhungte, he or she, himself or herself is tasting. Bhungte means eating, but it's not eating here, means devouring the nectar, devouring or absorbing, tasting all the ambrosial taste of the bhajana, Radha Krishna consciousness, bhungte, and also helping other loved devotees relish the same, relishing the same, bhojayate chaiva. Himself eating and also feeding others' loved ones. Sarvidhang pritilakshana. The 6 kinds of aspects, or the 6 aspects, 6 limbs of the pure devotion considered of pure loving devotion. Okay, Sarvidham, the 6 limbs, the 6 aspects are considered to be the signs, to be the pure signs of the pure loving devotion to the Lord. And these qualities should be reflected in the ista-gosthi, the high class ista-gosthi. High class ista-gosthi means this, as I have explained. Of course, which takes place in a more reserved way, not in public way, because this kind of ista-gosthi must be taking place only with like-minded, like-hearted sadhus. Like-minded, like-hearted sadhus cannot be done with anyone and everyone. This is also described in Holy Scripture. Sajatiya shayasnigdhe sadhu sango sato bare. Sajatiya shayasnigdhe sajatiya ashay vishishta snigdha sadhu sango. Sajatiya shayasnigdhe sadhu sango sato bare. So, ideal ista-gosthi should be done with that kind of sadhus or pure sincere devotees who are sajatiya ashay, means who are more like-minded, like-hearted, who are very similar, who are of very similar feelings and taste, similar feelings and taste, called sajatiya ashay visishta sadhu. Sajatiya sayas snigdhe sadhu sanga satobai. Who are so like-minded, like-hearted, of sharing of similar taste, and who are so cooling and soothing to each other, whose association and presence are actually acting as very soothing factor, as something soothing, cooling, pacifying, peace-giving. Snigdha sadhu sangha. Snigdha. Snigdha means which cools, soothes, pacifies, making peaceful. So, ista-gosthi should preferably be done. I repeat, the ista-gosthi should preferably be done with that kind of sadhu association. See, again, ista-gosthi. The great examples of ista-gosthi we find from Chaitanya Charitamrita. Tell me what the great examples of ista-gosthi. Rai Ramananda Sangvad. Ista-gosthi between Mahaprabhu and Rai Ramananda. There are not so many audience, there are only two of them. Absorbed in having ideal ista-gosthi for days. See, ista-gosthi, ideal example of ista-gosthi between Mahaprabhu and Rai Ramananda. Also, we find that ista-gosthi, but mostly one-sided ista-gosthi in Sanatana Shiksha, Rupa Shiksha, because Mahaprabhu was main teacher and their listeners mostly. Time to time they were reciprocating, Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami. But mainly Mahaprabhu was instructing them, guiding them. But for Rai Ramananda Sangvad, very much reciprocative between both of them. And Nimi Navajogendra Sangvad. You also find from Srimad Bhagavatam, Nimi Navajogendra Sangvad, kind of nice ista-gosthi. Kapil Devahati Sangvad, another ista-gosthi. Through questions and answers. Satang prasangan mama virja samvido bhavanti hritkarna rasayana kathaha tajyosanada sapavarga vartmani saddharatir bhaktir anukramishati. There are some verses. These are certain verses defining the character of the ideal ista-gosthi. Satang prasangan mama virja samvido bhavanti hritkarna rasayana katha tajyosanada sapavarga vartmani saddharatir bhaktir anukramishati. Can I find out that verse from the internet? I cannot translate everything. I will be then taking long time. Translation with explanation, so better find out the translation. It starts with Satang Prasangan. S-A-T long A-M. Then word Prasangan. P-R-A-S-A-N-G long A-N. Fine.
Satam prasanga mama virya samdaya.
bhavanti hrit karna rasayana katha. This also gives the, okay, please you read out the translation. This gives us some knowledge
In the
the
association,
character of ista-gosthi, how it feels.
No.
First,
Tak napřed to přečtu.
read out English translation, then in Czech.
So in the association of pure devotees, discussion of the pastimes and activities of Supreme Personality of Godhead is very pleasing and satisfying to the ear and the head. By cultivating such knowledge, one gradually becomes advanced on the path of liberation, and thereafter he is fed, and his attraction becomes fixed. Then real devotion and devotional service begin.
Are you reading translation? It is kind of purport come translation.
So, it is,
Reading the whole, the original translation.
yeah, it is translation by
Translation.
Srila Prabhupada, and
Okay,
then there
okay.
is of course long
Okay.
purport.
In the translation, I find some purport and translation combined. Okay, very nice.
Yeah, and I will read it in Czech. So
Also give different translations in different parts of his purports to the same verse.
Okay,
So you can find some shorter one or some longer one.
okay.
but it is in Srimad Bhagavatam.
Does he not mention about rasayana katha, elixir? Rasayana katha, it's like ambrosial elixir of the heart. Hrit karna, heart and ear. Ambrosial elixir to the heart and ear and heart. You can see in the word for word meanings, it is there. Shatang prasangan mama virja sangvido. Then bhavanti hrit karna rasayana katha. You do find word for word meanings?
Yeah.
So can you read out?
So I will switch back to English. Yeah, so there is Satam of poor devotees, Rasangat through the association, Mama, my, Virya, wonderful activities, Samvit by discussion of, Bhavanti, become, head, to the head, Karna, to the ear, Rasa Anya, pleasing.
Pleasing,
So there is more
It
pleasing.
just says pleasing.
Yeah. Or maybe it is possible to go more deep and
Yes, go more deep, it is possible. He gave a more normal translation.
yeah, in this case.
For the beginners kind. Yeah.
Yeah.
Rasa ayana,
Rasayana means elixir,
taste of
nectarian elixir.
Yeah.
Okay, not just, it is pleasing, definitely pleasing. Pleasing of what character? That of tasting the nectarian elixir in the form of the katha, in the form of the description of the glories of Lord.
Maybe in purport there is some more details.
Okay.
Yeah, but it is long. So I will check read it in Czech, the translation. Yeah. As well. Ve společnosti čistých oddaných jsou rozhovory o zábavách a činnostech nejvyšší osobnosti božství velice příjemné a lahodí uchu i srdci. Pěstováním tohoto poznání bude člověk dělat postupné pokroky na cestě osvobození, poté se osvobodí a ustálí se ve své náklonnosti. Pak se probudí skutečná oddanost a začne pravá oddaná služba.
In another verse, you can find out Macchitta madgata prana bodhayanta parasparam kathayantascha mang nityam tushyanti cha ramanti cha. Bhagavad Gita. Please type it up. Macchitta. M-A-C-C-H-I-T-T-A.
Macchitta, dohromady jedno slovo?
Ne, jako spíš dvě, tři slova.
nebo jednota. Asi
Jednoto.
Macchitta.
Adgata prana bodhayanta parasman Bhagavad Gita. Another ideal verse to be defining the character of ista-gosthi, or saying the describing of the function of the ista-gosthi, nature of the function of high class ista-gosthi.
Yes, so Machita, Malkata, Prana, Bodhayant, and so on, yeah?
Please read out the English translation first, then check.
The thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me. Their lives are fully devoted to my service, and they derive great satisfaction and bliss from always enlightening one another and conversing about me.
Read out again.
Okay.
Repeat that.
Yeah. The thoughts of my pure devotees dwell in me. Their lives are fully devoted to my service, and they derive great satisfaction and bliss from always enlightening one another and conversing about me.
Yes. So that is the character, ideal character of the ideal ista-gosthi.
In Czech language, please.
Okay.
This is the ideal character of ideal ista-gosthi. Therefore, I am quoting, referring to that verse.
Moji čistí oddaní dlí myšlenkami vždy u mě, své životy plně zasvěcují službě mě a nacházejí velké uspokojení a blaženost v tom, že se o mě neustále navzájem poučují a baví.
The result of ista-gosthi should be tushyanti cha, ramanti cha, while absorbed in Krishna Katha, Radha Krishna Katha in the ista-gosthi, and exchanging the nectarian taste of each other's bhajana experience through ista-gosthi. Then they bring the experience of tushyanti cha, ramanti cha. Tushyanti cha means primarily deriving great satisfaction, meaning great satisfaction, great happiness, and then after that, ramanti cha, great pleasure. Not just satisfaction, beyond satisfaction. Nectarine pleasure, nectarine bliss. It's ecstatic love of Radha Krishna. Yes. That becomes the result of a high-class ista-gosthi, while that manifests among the high-class devotees, high-class pure devotees, okay, like-minded, like-hearted, like taste, that of similar taste devotees together and engaged in sharing, exchanging and sharing each other's ambrosial bhajana experience, blissful bhajana experience, and treasures with each other. Then tushyanti cha, and then thereafter ramanti cha also comes. And that's what it is saying. When my great devotees are engaged in my conversations, they have it. They have this treasure. Okay, should we stop here or should we continue? Prasadam time. Some prasadam is there, extra prasadam, yes? Okay, fine. Now it is the time to devote to prasad.
Bhunkte bhojat.
I already explained, I think so.
Yeah.
Bhunkte bhoja, yes, bhunkte bhojayate now, is the time. Bhunkte bhojayate chaiva.